Hi everyone, this is Marty with Pezzadoodle, and Susana from Susana's Custom Art and Card Design recently got some great new stamps in from a place called Local King Rubber Stamp. And I want to do a couple of different things with these. They're really gorgeous stamps. A lot of them have great background designs. And what you can do with that is make your own designer paper so it always matches your project. So we're going to start. We're going to use for this one some glossy paper. This is also sold in the same category on the same page as the Local King rubber stamps at Susana's shop. And the glossy paper really makes the stamps stand out, makes your stamped image pop. I'm just using dye ink. This is Memento ink. Use whatever dye ink you have on hand. I'm going to go over the entire stamp first with the lightest color. And do that quickly. And then I'm going to use these sponge dabbers that are also in Susana's shop. And I'm going to add in some darker shades of ink to give you a really neat sort of blended effect and show you how cool it looks on this glossy paper. So I've got some purple here. Purple and green is my favorite color combo, so that's what I'm working with. So I'm just dabbing it on quickly, and the reason I'm using the fingertip dabber is so that I don't have the harsh line of the ink pad. I can blend the edges a little bit better like this. And I'm working fairly quickly, but I'm going to show you a way that you can still stamp even if your ink has started to dry, because dye ink does dry quickly. But we have a fix for that. Okay, now I'm going to go back in with some of the darker green and some of the other areas that don't have any ink yet. So I just continue dabbing on the ink all around until I have gotten my stamp fairly well covered. This is a large stamp. It's almost the size of the front of an A2 card, and it's also a negative sort of effect. So that means that instead of inking the design, you're inking the background, and your design will be white. So there's a lot to cover on this stamp, but it looks really, really cool. This is an Asian theme, which is very popular right now. It's got some little Asian designs and Asian writing on it. Okay, we've got it pretty well covered. If you have a good light in your work area, you can really see where you might be missing some ink. And now what you want to do is you just want to puff your breath onto it, and this way it sort of moistens that ink back up. Same thing you do when you're using markers with stamps, and then you'll stamp it onto your glossy cardstock. You notice my block is slightly smaller. That's okay. I'm just going to press around these edges. If you have a really large block, that's great, but I don't have one handy, so. And here's our design. And this ink will dry on this particular glossy cardstock that Susana has begun carrying, even though it is a dye ink and the surface is slick. And I've really enjoyed using these because I like the effect I get on the glossy cardstock. And you'll see more of that in a minute. Get these out of our way and show you the next thing I'm going to do with one of these stamps. I'm going to create some background paper. So I started with a page from, I believe it's Porcelain Basic Gray, and this is also available at Susana's store under the 6x6 paper pads. It's just a perfect little size. And then I took one of the templates she carries by Crafter's Workshop, placed it on the paper, misted it with Maya Mist. This is pink grapefruit. Shake it really well. Your metallic mica powders will settle on the bottom. Just shake it back and forth till those start loosening up. Give it a light mist from a distance. You don't want to move the stencil and you don't want to saturate your paper. It'll leak underneath your stencil. You just want a light mist. Quick few bursts. Let that dry. And this is what you end up with. And if I can get the light on it, there you go. You can see the sparkles, which I love. And then I'm going to take another set of stamps from Local King rubber stamps. These are Chinese flowers. So there's bamboo and some grass and some really cool flowers. And so I'm just going to stamp these around in a dark brown Memento ink to give myself some background paper. Let's see, I think I'm going to go for the bamboo. That will match my Asian themed Crafter's Workshop stencil that I already misted with the Maya Mist. So this is a great way to create some custom, really cool background papers, and they match your project. So if you think, oh, well, you know, I'm using this particular color scheme, or I want something that looks a certain way, I want a certain feel to my papers, this is a great way to do that. Now I'm going to take one of the floral pieces, go back to my dark green that I used on my previous project. Stamp that. And again, it's very random. There's no rhyme or reason how I'm doing this. I'm not even really checking to see if the stamps are right side up or upside down. You just really want that randomness for your paper. And now you've got a really cool, really interesting, custom, somewhat sparkly, sort of Asian themed designer paper that you've created yourself with the Maya Mist, the Crafter's Workshop templates, some of the paper. This is a really cool watercolor, light colored paper, and those really awesome Local King rubber stamps. Next up, glossy paper. Here we have some pretty ferns, all separate stamps, and we're going to use these Marby markers. If you don't have any of these, you can get these at Susana's as well. She carries those on the same page as the Local King rubber stamps and the glossy paper. So I'm just going to pick a few colors here, and these have a nice brush tip so you can brush them on. This is not going to work with your Copic markers the same way. These are just regular dye ink markers. And I'm going to color a little bit darker green here down the center. And then I'm going to go in with this yellow on my edges. Mix it a little bit. See if I can get a little bit of blending going. Working kind of quickly, but again, you're going to use that trick where you sort of huff on it with your breath, and that'll moisten that ink right back up on your stamp so that you can stamp it when you're ready. So this gives you a lot of control for your colors. You can use all sorts of colors of markers on your stamps to get some really detailed inking going on. And you can really see what you're doing. I can see where I'm putting my ink. I can see whether it's blending. And then I'm going to stamp it onto my glossy cardstock. And you'll see the image just really stands out on this particular glossy cardstock. It's really amazing. Let's do something a little fall-like. Since we're in that season, I'm going to go in again with a green. Got a little selection over here. Go in with some green. Put it along my centers here. And then I think I will go in with some red on some of my tips. And then I'm also going to come back with some yellow. Again, working somewhat quickly, but paying attention to detail. You don't have to go so fast that you're not sure if you've got everything inked up, because you're just going to huff your breath. It's not blowing. When you blow, you're drying something. When you're just breathing out onto it, the moisture that's in your breath is going to moisten that ink back up that's dried onto your stamp so that you can get a good impression out of that. So we've got some of the red here. Then we're going to mix it in with some of that yellow, which will give us some yellow and orange tones. So I'm doing my shading really right on my stamp. These are not line drawings, so you don't color them in, but this is a way you can use these to get really creative and colorful with your stamping. Just going over the tips of the leaves now. And then we'll stamp it onto, again, our glossy cardstock. It really makes a difference. I mean, obviously you can do this on regular cardstock, but the images, I was surprised how much they pop out at you when using this glossy cardstock that Susana sells. Okay. Stamp it. How cool is that? And you really get an intense image with those Marby markers and this glossy cardstock. So this is a gorgeous piece of paper that I can use as a base on my cards. I think I'm going to do one more coming down here. So I really encourage you to grab some of that glossy cardstock and these amazing stamps. There are some really, really beautiful designs in the Local King rubber sets. And experiment with the markers, the glossy cardstock, and those stamps and see what you can create. Because I have been just amazed at how much they stand out. And I'm hoping you can get this on camera, the vividness, this one in particular with the different colors. And the markers give you so much control over where you're putting that color down so that you can really create some stunning stamped images. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you give it a try. And I'd love to see what you create. Thanks so much.